Hello, welcome to this Computer Weekly video in association with HP. I'm Brian Glick, I'm the Editor-in-Chief of Computer Weekly, and I'm here talking with experts from HP about some of the key issues facing IT leaders today. I'm joined now by Henk Hoevelaken. Henk leads the mobile services offering for HP in Europe, and we're going to talk about some of the challenges around developing mobile enterprise applications. Henk, thanks so much for joining us today and taking part in this video. Clearly, I think people are increasingly recognising that the mobile trend is growing rapidly. You only have to walk down the street and see the number of people walking around with smartphones and increasingly using mobile devices to interact with the organisations that they choose to buy from and deal with. IT leaders, as a result, are obviously seeing that they need to have a mobile IT strategy. What are the key drivers behind this trend from an enterprise perspective, and just how important is this going to be over the next few years?
Okay, yeah, that's indeed an interesting question. So what we see is, of course, the smartphone proliferation, what you just said. So an interesting inflection point at the end of 2011, where we saw that the amounts of shipments of notebooks and desktop computers were smaller than the amount of smartphones and tablets shipped. So that gives a clear signal. That fuels more and more the consumerization of IT. People are more savvy on IT than they used to be. They bring that to work, so there's bring your own device kind of theme in the enterprise. So actually the pace of technology evolution has outstripped the capacity of the enterprise IT to adopt it. So that's basically what's happening. Now, how important is this all? We think it's unstoppable and irreversible. It looks very much like in the 90s, late 90s, when you saw that the internet technology came in and enterprises adopted it. So where would you have been if you did not take that challenge to adopt the internet technology? So that's the same. And yeah, customers want 24/7 access to services, information, products. And there is a chance to be right at the moment when they make decisions to influence them. That's what you can do by mobile. It's carried 24/7. It has all the contextual information, and if you just add to the context and do your analytics right, you can influence them. So that's the major importance of this technology.
I mean, as with the internet, you use the analogy there with the internet. You know, people had to develop new ways of developing applications to take advantage of the internet. It's the same with mobile, isn't it? What are the key differences that you have to consider when you're developing for mobile environments?
Yeah, now the interesting part is, of course, the mobile has all kinds of capabilities that can give you context. So first of all, you have the identity of the people carrying the device. So that's important, because at the internet you just have an IP address if you're lucky. Then there is a billing relation with someone, because you're carrying something that you pay a subscription fee for or prepaid. Then, of course, it's 24/7 carried, so people have it. There's attention span on the device. And the contextual information gives you access, for instance, and I just mentioned a few, the location, the direction, there's a camera, there's a microphone on the device. There's social influences, you know the weather and the time at the location of a person using it. So that all, if you bring that together, you need to treat it specifically if you are going to develop apps. So if you develop an app that will facilitate a positive interaction between your brand and the consumer, then you're doing well. And that means you need to take care about UI factors, the smart use of that context. And actually what you need to create is something that will be better, quicker, cheaper than what people are used to. Now, there are some difficulties. So there comes the speciality. It's one of the channels that you have to market. So you operate in a multi-channel environment, meaning that it needs to work amongst the other channels. It can't be such that the information you provide or the information you capture is lost in the other channels. So that's a challenge in its own right. Now, business processes used to be cut in pieces to be handled by mobiles. So that gives a range of troubles in the development, because you need to take care of scale. And I used to give an example. Let's say you're an airline and you have an app on the internet where people can check if a flight arrives in time. Now, you used to do it once or twice before you go to the airport, But what if you have a mobile and you're going to the airport, you're standing at the airport, you probably do it 10 times in 5 minutes. So that gives scalability troubles. The integration with the back-end systems are not designed for those atomic type of transactions from the mobile. So that gives some things to look at. And of course the requirements to design, the development and the governance processes are quite different with mobility. And it becomes exciting when you look at the intersection points of cloud and mobility, information management and analytics and mobility, and social media and mobility. So if you all take that in consideration, it's quite a new bird that you have to take care of.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot there to think about, isn't there? But this is still quite a new area of software development. Given those differences, what's the best way to approach a mobile project? What's the process you need to go through in order to make sure you get this right?
Okay, now first, it's all new territory for people. Because you go somewhere where no man has ever gone before. I carefully remember that from an old television program in my past. So what you need to do is you need to fix something because it needs to be predictable. So you fix usually time, and you fix the amount of investment that you're going to make, but you can't fix the scope. Because you don't know where you're heading to. So rather than using a waterfall approach where you say, well, we go in the next 6 months from here to Rome, and then when you're in Rome with mobile, you find out that you'd rather be in, let's say, Istanbul. So that's what you need to take care of, and you do that by using an agile process. And agile means you have upfront requirements, but you're not sure that you're all going to implement them. You get constant feedback from the market, what are the next requirements that you're going to use, and you use short cycles with continuous deployment. So that's what we advocate. It's called agile. That's what we advocate. So you have also quick business results using this, and business results normally are measured in ROI. In this case, you probably measure with some more atomic things like number of downloads, the number of transactions, the unique customers that you're getting using your app. And last but not least, with Agile, there's a demand for automated regression testing because of the quick cycles, the fact that you do continuous deployment, you need to regression test all over the place, and you better automate it in order to maintain the quality.
There's some important technical things to think about as well, aren't there, in this, as well as just the methodologies you use and so forth, things that perhaps in conventional software development people might not have come across before. Yeah,
that's also an interesting question. Glad that you ask it. Can you imagine that there are more than 9,500 different combinations of devices, operating systems and versions? So let's say you have a business-to-consumer app to take care about, and more than 10, 20 come out every week, new models. Bring your own device. Let's say you develop for your employees. You never know what they bring because they bring their own device. So you have no control over the device. So you need to take care about that. The data, where are you going to put the data? At server side, at client side, somewhere in between. The security around that, because it's enterprise data leaving the enterprise. There's even no wire attached. So you rather take care of it. The user experience. Because that's important. If the user experience is wrong, then people won't use the app because it's on a mobile device. You don't want to interact with entering data so much because you're on the go. It needs to have some relevancy and immediacy because otherwise it doesn't work. You still must support legacy apps on the same back-end platforms, so you can do an overhaul of the back-end platforms, but still the legacy apps need to be working and functioning. The control of over the channel, because there's a wireless channel involved, you need to control that. And you need carefully think about your cross-platform mobile application architectures, and there are many of them. You can do it on the server, you can do an app on the client, you can do hybrid, you can do container-based or native. Now, it's too far-fetched to explain all of this, but there are choices to be made. And, of course, you also might want to consider how to go about the information analytics, Because what I said in the beginning, you're there to influence decisions or to bring decision power to a small device. So how are you going to deal with the analytics in the background, and how are you going to bring that in let's say, a summary of what the analytics came up to the device? So that makes it very special.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, a whole new set of challenges, you say, for people to think about. But clearly some organisations have started down that road, and some have been quite successful with it. Can you perhaps give us some examples of some of the customers that you've worked with who've been down this road and the experiences they've had?
Yes. It's a range of vertical industries actually that benefit, but obviously banks, let's say the banks, they saw this from the start, from the outset they saw it. So they started with retail banking apps, business to consumer. Yeah. They carefully designed the UI, and they saw a staggering growth in uptake. So 1 month I was with a banking client, and he said, well, we are very glad that we have 200,000 downloads, and 4 months later he arrived at 1 million downloads. Yeah. And these people never returned to the internet bank. So that's also a challenge, because how you go about what with the multi-channel. So you say, yeah, that's simple, it doesn't return to the internet channel, but maybe you have some upselling or cross-selling stuff going on your internet channel, and people won't go there. So how are you going to do that over the mobile channel? We see insurances, for instance, car insurance claims using the mobile. You take a picture of your damaged car, and the position, the location, everything is recorded automatically, and you can file the claim. We see in general, field sales, tablets, iPads, and the other tablets. They appeal very much to the people selling. Usually they're quite gimmick oriented, but also it helps them in order to do best recommendations to customers, and to tap in the order and make sure that the order is expedited. While they're leaving the customer, the order is already in progress. Field service people turning up at some equipment that needs repairs, fueled by their schedule. These devices they carry are already filled with the right information that they need when they're out there to repair. We see airlines. They atomize, if that's the correct word, their business processes before the flight, during the flight, after the flight, and all kinds of mobile apps come in place in order to support their consumers. And of course also their employees, they're mobile by nature, they also need apps in order to do their work better. And last but not least, we see fashion, we see retail, fashion typical apps to bring out the catalog at the moment that the catwalk is just over. And retailers, they see all kinds of opportunities to lure people into their shops, understand their preferences, know their buying patterns, and give them advice or discount coupons as they go, even as they walk the aisles. That's even another angle that they try to find out.
A lot to think about, and a lot of great examples of people who are doing things there, Henk. By way of summary of what you've been discussing, if for an organisation that's in the very early stages, just setting out at looking at how they could bring mobile applications into their strategy, if there was one or two key tips, key pieces of advice that you would give to them at that stage, what would those be?
Yeah, I would say start now. I mean, you can wait. You can say, well, I'm not an early adopter. Those days are over. If you look at the Gartner hype cycle, actually I think we are at the right-hand side of that hype cycle. So the early days are over. If you didn't do it already, start experimenting now and take business to consumer first. Find out where is the right level of engagement that you can do via mobile with your consumer customers. So that would be my first advice. And prioritize, let's say, those cases along the lines of business value, IT readiness, and ease of implementation. Then soon after, start with your employees. They all bring their device, so you better make use of it, because that's the first win. You don't have to invest in their devices, but make sure they can do this safely, that there's no information security at stake. that you install the correct device management software, application management software, perhaps create for them an application store where they can discover apps and where the life cycle of the apps are managed. And then last but not least, if people start doing this, they sooner or later find out that they actually need an enterprise strategy. So ideally you would have started with that, but what I see in practice is that people, they bump into cases where they think, well, we just don't have enough strategy around this. And strategy, you can make it very difficult, but actually you need to find out why would the consumer uses his or her mobile to interact with me as an enterprise. That's where it all starts. So you follow the lines in your strategy, the business, the functional level, technical level, and implementation level. So that's basically what I can give as best advice. And
that's great. That's good advice, Henk. And I think that for so many organisations who are going to be starting to look at this now or in the very near future, so much to think about. And I think it's some great advice that you've given to them there. So thanks very much for taking the time to share your experiences.
You're welcome.
That's all we've got time for on this particular video. I've been talking to Henk Hoevelaken from HP about mobile enterprise applications and some of the considerations that you should perhaps think about in putting together your mobile application strategy. Thanks so much for watching. See you on another Computer Weekly video soon. Bye-bye.